Because of this passion, he has placed Ontario and Canada in the forefront international in this area. He has truly served our community and the world. Thus, the award could not go to a more worthy person. Peter. Tonight, he is joined by his daughters Rebecca and Aaron and son David. And I know from personal conversations with Peter that he is very proud of each of you and appreciates you being here. Peter's wife Heather would love to be here, but she's currently on a plane to Africa to continue her work there. Now let me say a few things about Dr. Singer. And I'm going to try to keep this brief because if I really went through his whole background, I think I'd be up here tomorrow still, Peter, because it's really long, but very deserved. Dr. Singer is the Chief Executive Officer of Grand Challenges Canada and the Director of the McLaughlin-Rotman Centre for Global Health, University Health Network, and the University of Toronto. Additionally, he is a Professor of Medicine at the University of Toronto and the Foreign Secretary of the Canada Academy of Health Sciences. As part of his many accomplishments, Dr. Singer chaired the Canadian Academy of Health Sciences Assessment on Canada's strategic role in global health. He has advised the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the UN Secretary, the Government of Canada, and many others on global health. In 2011, he was appointed an officer of the Order of Canada for his contributions to health research and bioethics, and for his dedication to improving the health of people in developing countries. Dr. Singer has published over 300 research articles and received over $50 million in research grants, and has mentored hundreds of university students. He recently co-authored, along with Dr. Abdullah Dar, the grandest challenge, taking life science from lab to village. At the end of the evening, at each table, there will be a place for somebody at that table to receive one copy of this book. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Singer on his contributions and achievements. Peter?
Ministers, Your Worship, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly humbled to be here standing before you with these other recipients, and it's obviously a special pleasure for me to be here with my family as well, who I'd like to acknowledge and recognize. It's a particularly meaningful night for me because I'm going to be sharing this podium with someone who's very special to me and a great mentor to me, Joe Rotman. Joe and I have been working together for more than a decade on combating global challenges using innovation. You might say that I'm the longest serving student registered at the Rotman School of Management. I'm in the individual program, and I've learned so much from Joe, and it's amazing how much you can learn when you cross sectors, when people from academia get together with people from business, from civil society. It's just amazing. I also want to recognize Sandy, who's here tonight with Joe. Sandy has been an inspiration to many of us for a very long time. In fact, to such an extent that earlier this year, we renamed the McLaughlin-Rotman Centre for Global Health the Sandra Rotman Center. And we did that because of Sandy's inspiration. You know, my memory of Sandy's one of the most astute members of our advisory board. And my memory of Sandy is the question that she invariably asks on any project, which is, how many lives are you saving? And that question is really sticking in my mind because Sandy really understands that the end point of innovation is impact, saving and improving lives. So Sandy, thank you for your inspiration. Many friends and colleagues are here. I want to single out Cal Stiller and Ken Knox because they actually helped us get started when they were involved in something called the Ontario Research and Development Challenge Fund that became the Ontario Research Fund. Many people don't know this, but they actually helped us get our start. And it was because of the work that we did with the original funding from that fund, from the Government of Ontario, that led us then to our work with the Gates Foundation and the bits of work that followed. So thank you, Cal, and thank you, Ken, very much for that. We really appreciate all your support and your inspiration in helping us get started. Thank you. I'm standing here, but really accepting this award on behalf of a wonderful team of young people. The thing that is most inspiring about the work that we do is actually the wonderful young Canadians who are really making a difference. Our team at the Sandra Rotman Center at Grand Challenges Canada, some of those folks are here today. Dr. Shane Green leads our work on ethics with the Gates Foundation. Ziki Ji is an undergraduate student at the University of Toronto who works in Grand Challenges Canada on women and child health with us. And it really is an inspiring team. And in particular, I want to single out my colleague, Abdullah Dar, with whom I've worked for over a decade, who was recruited to Ontario with the help of the Government of Ontario and the Challenge Fund, and with whom I wrote The Grandest Challenge. And I hope you will have a chance to read that book, because in that book we talk about the last 10 years of work that we've done tackling the Grandest Challenge, the inequities in global health, and tackling it using innovation. I won't talk about the narrative arc of the book, but I do want to single out one key message in that book, and that is this, and I think it's particularly relevant to a group like this. The global challenges that we face are too large to be solved by any one sector alone. There's many people who would equate global health with public sector action, and public sector action is critical. But without the private sector, and without linkages between the public and private sector, we won't be able to tackle these global challenges. Whether that has to do with the issue of trust and building trust, as Shane is doing in some of his work, or community engagement around GM foods, and I've had the privilege of working with investigators on projects that are putting vitamin A and iron and essential micronutrients in staple crops like bananas and sorghum and cassava and rice in Africa and in Asia. And I've had the privilege of working with investigators, and our team has, with investigators who are doing genetic modification of mosquitoes so they don't transmit dengue or malaria. And if you think that you don't need social innovation to build trust around a project like that with the communities where you're going to be releasing genetically modified mosquitoes, then you're mistaken. That's an area where social and technological innovation go hand in hand. I've also had the privilege of visiting many small companies in India, in China, biotech companies, and so I think I understand a little bit the small and medium enterprise sector, and that sector can make a huge difference. You know, one of the best examples of success we have in global health is a meningitis vaccine that was introduced in Africa about a year ago. And that's a collaboration between the World Health Organization, the Gates Foundation, and a company in India. And that vaccine costs less than 50 cents a dose, and it's estimated that it'll save 130,000 lives over the next 10 years. Whether it's that example, or whether it's the example of a malaria vaccine, RTSS, that Glaxo has been working on with the Gates Foundation for 20 years, that can combat the terrible problem of malaria that kills so many children every year. These are essential examples of innovation and biotechnology making a difference in global health. In closing, I'd like to focus on the organization that I have the privilege of being a CEO, and Joe Rotman is the chair, Grand Challenges Canada. We focus on bold ideas with big impact. I can't help but draw your attention to one of our programs called the Canada Rising Stars in Global Health, where we give $100,000 awards for proof of concept to people within 10 years of a degree. And very significantly, we will fund universities, we'll fund NGOs, we'll fund companies. So I can't neglect this opportunity to ask each and every one of you to consider what impact some of the work that you're doing in your companies might have in the developing world, and encourage you to look at that program, because Canadians can make a huge difference in global health. And global health is also local health. So two examples of grants that we recently funded are a prosthetic knee that can be used, think landmines in the developing world, but it costs $50 compared to $3,000 for a prosthetic knee purchased in Ontario. And a digital X-ray device from Waterloo that costs $1,000 compared to $100,000 for digital X-rays. Now think about not just what those innovations can do in low and middle income countries, but think about what those innovations can do to what is actually a very fundamental challenge for Ontario Minister, the rising cost of healthcare. And think about the potential for reverse innovation. And imagine a world where we're stimulating innovations that will have a huge impact in the developing world, that we can reverse innovate into Ontario to help us gain control of some of our rising health costs. And then with that additional experience and data, we can actually export from Ontario to create jobs. And that is a trifecta. And it just doesn't get better than that. And it shows you that innovation with impact anywhere is innovation with impact everywhere. Thank you very much.